my many minds, my heart doesn't always agree. What I'm thinking inside.
Hello friends, and welcome to my second video of my new series, Y.A.B.S, or Young Adults Bible Studies. These will be available here on my YouTube channel every single Monday at 5 o'clock p.m. Mountain Standard Time. Today we're going to be studying 1 Corinthians 13, 4 through 7. So let's get into it. But however, before we begin reading on those verses, let's think about what love means to each of us and write it down. Keep it close to you so at the end of the video we can collect all the answers to our questions and comment it. Comment it all down. What exactly does love mean to you? Alrighty, so 1 Corinthians 13:4. Love is patient and is kind. Love does not envy. Love does not parade itself. It is not puffed up. 1 Corinthians 13:5. Does not behave rudely, does not seek its own, is not provoked, and thinks no evil. Verse 6, does not rejoice in iniquity, but rejoices in the truth. Verse 7, bears all things, believes all things, hopes all things, endures all things. I have a little tidbit from my Bible here. I'll be reading from it. And elaborating on some of the things here. Love is one of the fruits of the Spirit. In both Hebrew, ahab, and Greek, agape, this translation to love is an action word. It indicates conscious acts on behalf of a beloved one. However, biblical love seems to demand going beyond merely a particular behavior to include a certain inner attitude, a positive inner response as found in 1 John 3:17, which I will read here. But whoever has the world's goods and sees his brother in need and shuts up his heart from him, how does the love of God abide in him? This verse from 1 John calls us to have sincerity of the heart when dealing with others, which calls us back to 1 Corinthians. There are many attributes of love that reflect feelings and acts. True love can be characterized as patient and slow to anger, as in verse 4, kind and gentle to all. In verse 5, it calls us to be unselfish and giving, truthful in honesty, and in verse 7, to be hopeful and encouraging, enduring all things without an end. That's really interesting. I know we all probably have a hard time with every single one of those things. I know I do. This chapter with these verses I hold very close to my heart because I know for me personally, I'll never be able to live up to that. Ever. Doesn't matter how good of a person I am, how much I grow as an individual, I will never be able to live up to that. If you look at these verses here too and replace the word love with God, God has all these attributes and we can't live up to God. It's impossible, right? But how to love in the way that God calls us to is an interesting thought to to ponder on as well. Very interesting thought. That one I don't think I'd be able to answer unless I got a very straightforward answer from God himself, right? To be able to interpret that into everyday life without extracting it too much from what verse it's in. You gotta keep the verses in their context to kind of understand where it's coming from. To read the entirety of 1 Corinthians 13, we're basically nothing without God. We're nothing without love. Nothing means anything without God. Nothing means anything without love. If we are not these things, if we do not love, we're basically just making noise into a void. If we don't have pure, kind hearts with love in them, it says we are nothing, basically. Or at least that's my interpretation of the verse, right? We all interpret things like this a little bit differently, but I think in some ways that can be a good thing, interpreting it a little bit differently from others. Perspective is a big deal, although I alter in perspective a lot of times. I'm sure you could ask my husband. Perspective is a big deal, and what I hear come out of certain verses or certain people's mouths could be different from what somebody else reads or hears. So I think that's why I'll have you guys answer all these questions at the end here and let me know what you think. But for now, I'll go ahead and finish what we have here. Biblical love doesn't provoke, is rude, or is self-centered, proud, or envious. All these negative attributes aren't the Lord's love. Without love, these positive gifts of the Spirit are deemed worthless. That's basically what I was saying. It's all worthless. And the fruit of the spirits are incomplete, as claimed in 1 Corinthians 13:8. And I did not write that one down. 1 Corinthians 13:8 here. Let me grab my Bible here. Flip to that real quick so we can read it. I know some of you guys either don't have a Bible or life happens and you just get caught up and don't look at these things. I know I don't sometimes. As we all could tell last week, I didn't get around to posting that video. So 1 Corinthians 13:8. Oh, I'm in 2 Corinthians. Hold on. 1 Corinthians. There we go. 1 Corinthians. 1 Corinthians 13:8. Here we are. In 1 Corinthians 13:8, it says, "Love never fails. But whether there are prophecies, they will fail. Whether there are tongues, they will cease. Whether there is knowledge, it will vanish away. For we know in part and we prophesy in part. But when that which is perfect has come, then that which is in part will be done away." That was 8, 9, and 10 actually, but basically what it's saying in comparison to this, without God or without the coming of Christ, love is just in part. It's incomplete without these positives, without the coming of God. God is love, and it goes hand in hand basically. Love is a permanent, unconditional concern for others that results from the power of the Holy Spirit that lays in our hearts, rather than from our human efforts or desires and lust. So if you look at that, that means that you have to have a different kind of spiritual strength and spiritual love. If you try to love like the world loves, with desire for lust or money or things or whatever it might be, that love is incomplete. It's not God's real, true form of love. And with that, I think I'll go ahead and leave it off here. We'll leave it as a shorter video. Last week's would have been a little bit longer. There was more to go through, but I'll just leave it short and sweet for this week. These questions I have here for you, you can comment them down below. I'll go ahead and read them out, and I'll have them posted on the Facebook group that we have. How do you think most people would define love? And where do you think their definition of love comes from? That kind of plays into our version of love and what God's version of love is. What do you think it means when it says that love rejoices with the truth? That's a tough one for some, I think. I know it's a tough one for me sometimes. How does knowing God is love change how we view ourselves? What is one specific way you want to live differently in the light of these verses, knowing that God is love? These are all very interesting questions. I'm going to have to think on these ones myself, because I will be answering them right alongside with you. You can either comment the answers in the video down below or on the Facebook group. That's where I'll be posting them. So make sure you follow this video, and then go follow us on Facebook or Instagram too, because I'll be posting there. It will be through the 1970s Biscuit, and through that we'll have the Y.A.B.S Bible study group for all you friends who would like to learn. I know I said this is typically for, I think, 13 to 18, I believe I mentioned. But anybody can listen in on these videos. I'm not posting an age group on YouTube for that. So if you feel like you'll glean some information from these just as much as the young adults, then by all means, please. This is the type of thing that's for everybody. So with that, I think we are at an end here. And oh yes, just keep in mind this week, as you try to live in the light, the path God has created for you, these questions, these verses, keep your eyes, ears, and heart open, listening for God to walk you through things, because He will come a knocking at that door of your heart. All you have to do is keep your eyes and ears open. And remember, friends, to learn and to love God. Bye.
Head over heels for that